You are now tuned in to According to His Purpose podcast, a space where we focus on self love, healing, and discovering our God given purpose. This podcast has been created for anyone that's ready to meet a new and better version of themselves. Welcome to episode 14 of According to His Purpose podcast. This episode is titled Next Chapter. And yes, of course, I named it the next chapter because I am getting ready to enter into a new chapter in life. And if it is in the Lord's will, July 25th, I will be celebrating my 43rd birthday. And I feel like life is like a book, a journey. And the pages turn, the characters change, the places change, the stories change. And so I am excited about this next chapter of my life. I don't know what God has in store, but the previous chapters have taught me how to just walk by faith and not by sight and to trust God. And so that's what I'm going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about um, some of the things that I have dealt with this year, some of the things that I've learned, some of the things that I want to do as I go forward. But before I get into that, um, and I don't know why I did this, y'all, but I asked a friend of mine to give me some questions to answer for my audience on this episode, just because it is my birthday. And so, ways for my audience to get to know me a little bit better. And yeah, we're going to go into those questions before we get started, have a little fun, and just kind of go from there. So the first question that was submitted was, what is a memory as a kid that changed your life? Oh, okay. So when I was a kid in elementary school, me and my sister used to ride our bikes to school, and we would stop at the corner store, and we started, like, we will always make sure we had like a dime or a nickel. Now y'all got to remember, I'm an 80s baby, okay? So you get some things, you get a few pieces of candy with 10 cents. And so we always had some type of change, because we would go in there and we would have money to distract the clerk. So we would try to buy something, but we were actually in there stealing candy, and we would take the candy to school, and people knew us as the candy girls because we would come in the breakfast room, and we would be selling the candy. So every morning we started to make it a routine, and we would go in the store and we will get this candy, fill our backpacks up, go to the register, buy like one little Jolly Rancher or something, and then go out, go to school, sell our stuff. We started kind of getting good at it, so we kept doing it. We got away with it one time, we kept doing it. Then one day I remember I was actually putting some candy in my bag, and I walked to the side aisle, and I tried to put the candy in my bag, and the store clerk, he came from the other side, and he was like, "What are you doing? Give me that, get out of here." And it terrified me so much. And I remember telling him, like, "She made me do it." And she's like, "What?" And so she's running out, and we're running out and get on our bikes, and he's like, "What school do you go to?" And so when he said that, I was terrified, like, oh my God, he's going to come to the school and he's going to find out. And so as I'm riding to school, I had like a backpack full of stolen candy already. I was just dumping it out. Like, I didn't even want the evidence on me anymore. I just was like getting rid of it. So I dropped it out. And so he never came to the school, right? But my sister writes about it in her journal, or she writes about us stealing somewhere, and my mom got it and she read it, and it was the end of that. Let me just say, that was the end of that. I didn't steal anymore. I don't even like a thief. Like, I can't stand a thief and a liar. Okay. And I think that is a memory, a childhood memory that truly did change my life. Okay. So on to the next question. What is a phase that you went through in your teenage years that you would be embarrassed to talk about now? So you're going to ask me to talk about it. Okay. So what I remember as a teen, I mean, I feel that I was a pretty good teenager. Like, I really wasn't like the one sneaking in the club or, doing anything. I kind of did my things. Like, I kind of got into stuff like later on in life in my 20s. But a phase that I did go through, when I left Florida, I remember I was in Indiana, and I had this shirt airbrushed,
because I gave myself a nickname, and my nickname was Brown Sugar. And you couldn't tell me that my name was not Brown Sugar. And so I wore this airbrush shirt, went to the mall, had them airbrush brown sugar on the shirt. And I remember this clear as day. And I know my friend, if she's listening to it, because we are still friends to this day, if she's listening to it, my friend Kim will tell you. I remember when I first met her, I was like, telling her my name. And then I was like, you could just call me Brown Sugar. And she was like, girl, I ain't gonna call you no Brown Sugar. And I remember that situation from this day. So yes, that's something that it's kind of embarrassing. That was my Brown Sugar stage. I gave myself a nickname, and it was Brown Sugar. And so, okay, that's done with that. Um, and I wore the shirt. I had the name, and I had a shirt made for it. So, anyways, in the next question, in the final question, two more questions. So, what are two things on your bucket list? So, one, I would love to take my daughter to Paris. She always talked about Paris. So, I would definitely love to go to Paris. I have a friend there right now, so it is possible. It's something that I can do. I know someone that lives there. And so, yeah, I would definitely love to visit Paris, regardless of the video that came out, about the guy talking about Paris is not this and not that, whatever. It's what you make it. Um, but I would like to go to Paris, and I want to learn how to skate. I don't know how to skate, guys. Like, I've never really learned how to skate. I don't know what it is, but I tried it, but I've never learned how to skate. And so, the last question is, do I have any regrets? One of the regrets. Um, I really don't have many regrets in life because I feel like everything happens for a reason. But one of the things, especially now that I'm an adult and I see other people doing it so well, and I know that I kind of started out learning this, I do regret not really taking piano lessons seriously. My mom paid this lady to teach us piano, and we had piano lessons. And, Lord Jesus, my mom watches this. She listens to my podcast. So, I'm grown now, but, she was really paying that lady, and we were skipping those piano lessons. We would go over there and find excuses to leave, or we just wouldn't show up, and we would be going out playing. And I remember some of the lessons, but I never really took them seriously. And so I do wish that I would have taken my piano lessons seriously, so that I could play the piano. Now, who knows? I might have been a musician or something in the church. It's not really, I don't see a lot of lady organ players. So I think that would have been pretty dope, but we didn't know. Oh, and another regret probably is also not really paying attention when my mom tried to teach me how to sew. Because for those of you that know me, y'all know my mom is a seamstress. Like, she is the truth. And she makes everything. She can reupholster furniture. Like, she does it all. And she always used to teach us. Always, I watched her. I know how to sew just by watching her, and I had learned a little bit, but not so much to where I can actually do it professionally like she did for many years. So now, living in this time, yeah, I wish I would have taken that seriously. So that's that. Hopefully, you guys got to know a little bit more about me, some facts that you probably wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have asked for these questions. And that's what I get for asking for questions and stuff. But moving on, let's get into this podcast. Let's get into going into the next chapter, into chapter 43. Wow, wow, wow. When I tell you guys, I have never been more excited to see a new year. And only because I have been through so much in this previous year. When I tell y'all, God has truly, truly tried me. I feel like I have had my Job moment. I've heard of people talk about their Job moment, but I have had it, not just this year, but within like the last 3 years. If you followed the podcast, I've told you guys about me losing my father, then losing my sister, then losing my cousin, then losing another cousin, having COVID twice, leaving organizations that I was a part of. Not only that, then right before I was getting ready to drop this podcast, I lost my job of 10 years. And then before then, also, my daughter ended up moving and living all the way in Dallas, Texas. So, yes, I feel that I had a Job moment, things that I went through that could have really made me lose my mind or lose my cool, but it was nobody but God. If I could sum this year 42 up, it would be but God. That's how I can sum this up. But God. The devil tried me, but God. I do feel that God allowed him to try me to see how I would react. Everything that I went through, people was like, "Girl, how can you deal with all this? Like, oh my God, you've gone through so much. Like you lost your job of 10 years. I don't know what I would do. I would be mad. I would be angry." And see, that's why I'm just so grateful for my relationship with the Lord, because had it not been for God keeping my mind, I probably would have lost it. Had it not been for God, speaking to me and showing me how, I have to look at these losses as an opportunity for something new, for something different. I had to see that He was shifting me into something better, into something greater, instead of allowing it to like just kind of take over me and put me into a state of depression. He showed me how, okay, it really is that deep right now. You can't have everybody in your circle. You can't have everybody in your ear, because everybody don't understand you. Going through a lot of what I went through really taught me how to accept my journey and accept my life, because if I didn't, then I would be wishing and wanting and questioning God. But when He took me on a journey, to when he had me look back over my life and see the journey that He put me on was unique, and that a lot of the things that I have overcame were things that took other people out. When He showed me how, you know um everything that He took me through, everything that I went through, everything that I lost, it was part of His plan. This year showed me how God truly do know the plans for my life. It humbled me. It humbled me to appreciate what I do have and to just be grateful. It's easy to praise God and worship God when everything's all sweet, but when He starts to take you through it, it's hard, because you either gonna start questioning God and start getting angry at God. You can either get angry at God, or you can step that faith up. And that's what this year has taught me, to just step my faith up and trust in God and trust that He knows the plans for my life. I literally was like, okay, God, what's really going on? Because I had different people in my ear, and I'm like, God, are you really getting ready to do this year? Like, right when you give me a vision to start a podcast, then you allow me to lose my job. And then you tell me to keep going and to be strong. And so I try to be obedient. But then, even after me being obedient with that, then you start to tell me to share all my business with these people. Some of these people that don't even like me. I had people telling me, like, well, maybe, you should kind of get back into doing the things you was doing and all of this. Maybe, God's not pleased with you right now. And so that's why He's taking you through it. Had I, listened to that, it would have really messed me up. And this is why it's important to have a relationship with God, because when things start happening in life, you have to learn how to go to Him and ask Him, hey, God, what is going on? I don't say, God, like, oh, woe is me. Why, I'm saying, Lord, why me? I say, God, okay, what are we doing? Because I know that He's working, even though to some people it may not look like it. It might look like just hard times, but I understand that God's hand was still on my life. And I needed to know what He was doing, and what was the whole purpose behind you allowing me to endure so much, like physically and mentally, and losing things. Like, what are we doing here, Lord? And God was showing me that you are my vessel, and He was showing me that you know everything that He's doing, He's going to get the glory out of it. He's taking me through it because he needs to build something up in me that is preparing me for my future and where I'm going. I need to know who I truly am with Him. I really need to know where I am spiritually. and who I am and what I carry. And so he's going to take me through the fire, but I will not come out smelling like smoke. And those people that's watching on the sidelines, some are rooting for me, some was praying for me, some was praying against me, some was hoping that I would fall, because sometimes people get tired of seeing you do good. So some was hoping that I was fall. God said everybody is going to see and they are going to know that it was nobody but God. So I'm going to allow you to go through it. I'm going to give you this vision of a podcast, and then I'm going to take away your main source of income and see if you go forward. I'm going to let you go through this stuff and then command you to share it with the world. Those that want to see you fall, share it with everybody. Let it be known, because at the end, I am going to get the glory out of it. And so that's when he took me to John 9, when he healed the man that was born blind. And he showed me where his disciples asked, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Why is this happening to him? The same way, people's probably wonder what's going on with her. Why is she going through this? She's going through a lot, and she's telling us, we see what she's going through. You can't really tell, can't really look at it and see, but she's going through a lot. Why is she going through this? What happened? The answer that Jesus gave his disciples was, neither this man nor his parents sinned. Jesus answered, this came about so that God's work might be displayed in him. And so he showed me, yes, I'm going to allow you to go through it. I'm going to allow you to share your story. And I want people to see the work of God. And so one thing that I could say about year 42, I have went through a lot, and I shared it, and I didn't keep it to myself, and I didn't do that by choice. I did that because God wants you guys to see what he is made of, what he can do, how somebody can lose their job but not lose a beat and not miss out on anything. I haven't been hungry. I haven't been broke. I haven't been without. Not only that, he gives me a vision on how to move forward. He used me as an example to show, just because man shuts one door, he will open up a door that no man can shut. He showed me that instead of me moping and sitting back crying about not having a job, but I could look at this from a different perspective. So he opened up my mind. Like, y'all, I could not do that on my own. This fleshly body, my mind on my own could not have the strength to know that everything was going to be okay, to know that he was going to keep providing and keep protecting and everything was going to work out. It's so funny because when I first lost my job, my daughter was like, oh, mom, I was kind of worried a little bit, like, what does this mean? Are we going to be in a poorhouse? Then she said, and then about after a few weeks, when I see you didn't have a nervous breakdown, I figured we'll be okay. So even the fact that my child could see that there was a strength, and this strength is not mine. It was the strength of the Lord that was keeping me. When I am weak, I am strong, because it is him, not by might, not by power, but by his spirit. And so he showed me that. And also he showed me how to trust in him more, how to surrender more to him, and to know who I am. Like, you can't tell me nothing. Some of the I think that was a fear of mine at one point. Like, oh my God, after getting this good job, what am I going to do? But then after that, and then like now, going into my next chapter, going into chapter 42, and I'm still here. I'm still doing good. Like, I'm still blessed. Y'all can't tell me nothing about God. Y'all can't tell me nothing about what I carry. He had to show me that, because see, where I came from for the last few years, the enemy will send people in your life to make you feel less than who you are. And if you're not careful, some of those ways that people treat you, you will start falling into those identities. And so this year I did a lot of work on self-love and building myself up and discovered a new version of myself. You guys know that's what this podcast is about. And so to see what God has truly done, like, you can't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing else about God, or nobody telling me who I am or what I carry. My rank in the spirit, for one. And it's almost like, I sound a little cocky, but I mean, when it comes to my relationship with God, you can't tell me nothing, because he showed me that. He took me back to that girl that was on the plane when I left Miami by myself and didn't know what I was coming into. All I knew, I was going to Kentucky, then we was gonna move to some place called Indiana. I didn't know if Indiana had Indians in it or what. And I remember a fear that came over my life in that moment. And I knew, I was like, okay, well, there's nobody but me and you, Jesus. And then just to see all that I've been through all those years, and to look and see where I'm at now going into this next chapter, it was nobody but God. Nobody but God. So at 43, one thing that I can honestly say, I am walking into this new chapter with confidence, knowing that I am precious to God, knowing that he has fearfully and wonderfully created me for his glory. One of the most beautiful things that I love about myself now is, um, I am okay with my journey and everything that I've been through. I don't try to be anything else. I don't try to be someone else. I don't try to be what is popular. Even with me sharing the word of God, he's telling me to be myself, that I am enough. And see, that doesn't happen overnight. That took work to get there. I'm just so grateful going into this new year that God has kept my mind through everything. And he's confirmed that, I got you. Even in times when it feel like I'm not working, I got you. I'm here with you. And you know what? Count it all joy. Everything you've been through, count it all joy. Losing friends, they couldn't understand it. Count it all joy. And also anticipate what's to come. And God is showing me, he's taken me through so much, and I got the lessons that he was trying to teach me. Now it's time for greater, it's time for more. Everything that I have been affirming over my life, I am looking forward to walking into it. I am looking forward to my business growing in the way that I wanted to grow. I'm looking forward to me having new and different routines. Everything that I've talked about on this podcast, y'all know it was not just for y'all. Y'all know this is stuff that God had shared with me and wanted me to work on. And so I shared it with you all, hoping that we can come together and work on, just growing and becoming better individuals. And so as I go into chapter 43, whew, I just think I'm literally in a spirit of gratitude. I have better days. I could definitely say, even doing this podcast and some of the things that I had to work on, as far as, preparing for some of these episodes, I can honestly say that it has helped me to grow as a person, as a woman of God, as a woman altogether, as a mother. Um, a lot of things that I battled with, I feel like I have a newfound freedom in my mind. Um, One thing that I've learned, like, this joy that I have, the world can't give it. So the world can take it away. They could take away friends, they could take away jobs, they could take away money, but they don't have to take away my joy. And God has shown me how to not be in default mode, and to allow myself to be in a place where I just default into things because of a certain situation. Losing my job really was a lot of lessons for me, because God was showing me the natural thing to do is to say, "Oh, I'm sad," and fall into depression. But you don't even feel that, because you know that I got you. You know that I'm with you. So don't even default your mind into that place. And so, not allowing the cares of this world to control my emotions have been a great victory for me this year. And so, yeah, God is good, and I'm just so excited. And like I said, I'm happy. I'm excited about the future of this podcast going forward. We are going to continue to grow. And listen, what I have coming up, the soul. God has just been talking to me about the soul of his people and my soul, and how we talk about mental health, but we never talk about soul health. Now, that's my term. If I start hearing y'all talk about soul health, I know. So, y'all like to steal stuff. People like to really watch you and steal your stuff and don't give you credit for it. But, Soul health is my focus going into this next year, because if my soul is in a good place, my heart is right, my heart is in a good place, I feel good about who I am able to be used by God in a greater way. I am able to accomplish some of the things that I want to accomplish. And also, another goal that I have for myself and for my listeners on this podcast is financial health. This is something that you guys know I sell life insurance, right? So, we're going to talk about different investments. We're going to talk about having life insurance and having yourself covered and your family taken care of. Look at the world we live in, y'all. Like, stuff is just happening left and right. And people, we don't know if tomorrow is promised. And so you want to have that security, because once you're gone, you don't want your family to be worrying and struggling. You know, if they're going to be going through enough. So you don't want them to have to be worrying about if they have life insurance or not. So I'm trying to get one of my mentors on here to come and talk to us about investments and about life insurance, and how you don't have to just use it in death, but you can also use it for living benefits. So we're going to focus on our soul, on keeping our minds right, and we're going to get our money right. There's ways that you can invest money through life insurance, through stock markets, through IRAs, a lot. And so we're going to talk about that, because it's time when we talk about new versions of ourselves, that's going to be the goal for that is all the way around. So we already kind of got people out of our lives. We kind of got our minds. We started thinking on different levels and started to trust God more. Now it's time to really buckle down and make sure our finances are right. Make sure that the things that we're doing with our time, that we're stewarding our time correctly, that we are really setting those boundaries and having those non-negotiables in our lives. And so I am just looking forward to my chapter 43. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that click on this podcast, that support me, whether you're listening because you believe that I have something good to say, or you're just clicking on and listening to be nosy, or you're looking to be inspired to do your own, whatever the case may be. I appreciate each and every one of you and your support. And I ask that you continue to pray for me as I pray for you as we move forward and just continuing to grow and to become a better version of ourselves. So I'm excited. I'm always excited for God to take me to another year. This has definitely been a year of growth, my but God year. I had my Job moment, but God, but God, but God, but God. So I thank you guys for tuning in. You want to support the podcast, hit support the podcast. Um, if you want to support me by purchasing one of my journals from Amazon, just put my name in the search engine on Amazon. Something should pop up. If not, it's all on the links on my social media handles. And for those of you that is watching me on YouTube, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And so I thank you guys once again. Until next time.